Paul Bernardo, a name that still invokes terror, is known as the Scarborough Rapist. Bernardo's reign of terror began in the suburbs of Toronto, Ontario, in Scarborough. His crimes were not just acts of violence, but calculated moves of a man who thrived on manipulation and control. Bernardo's charm and good looks masked his sinister nature. He was a wolf in sheep's clothing, preying on the unsuspecting. This essay dives deep into the tactics and events that marked Bernardo's crime spree, the horror he inflicted, and the justice that finally caught up with him. The year 1987 marked the beginning of Paul Bernardo's violent spree. His first known attack occurred on May 4th, targeting a young woman returning home in Scarborough. She was unaware that she was being followed. Bernardo approached her from behind, brandishing a knife. The attack was swift and brutal. Bernardo's method was to select victims who were alone and vulnerable. He stalked them meticulously, learning their routines. On that fateful night, he struck when his victim least expected it. His attack was not only physical but psychological, leaving his victim in a state of terror. Scarborough residents began to live in fear, altering their routines to avoid becoming the next victim. This initial crime was just the beginning of a series of horrifying events that would plague Scarborough for years. Paul Bernardo was not just a rapist, he was a predator. His modus operandi involved meticulous stalking and deception. He watched his potential victims for days, sometimes weeks. He would learn their habits, understand their vulnerabilities, and strike when they were most defenseless. Bernardo often used his charm to deceive. He could appear harmless, even friendly. This duality made him even more dangerous. Victims would let their guard down around him, not realizing the imminent threat. His ability to blend into everyday life was a chilling aspect of his character. This calculated approach allowed him to evade capture for years, leaving a community in constant fear. At the height of his crime spree, Paul Bernardo admitted to at least 14 sexual assaults. The actual number may be higher, as some victims never came forward. His methods were consistent yet brutal. Each attack followed a similar pattern, making it clear that Bernardo had perfected his technique. He would typically approach his victims late at night or early in the morning. The element of surprise was crucial. Bernardo used physical force and intimidation to overpower his victims. His weapon of choice was often a knife, which he used to threaten and control his victims during the assault. Despite the terror he spread, Bernardo managed to evade capture for years. The sheer number of assaults and the consistency in his methods highlighted his cold, calculated nature. Section 5. Connection to Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French. Paul Bernardo's crimes took a darker turn with the abductions and murders of Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French. These heinous acts marked a significant escalation in his criminal activities, leaving an indelible scar on the community. These cases shocked the nation and revealed the true extent of his depravity. The public was horrified as details emerged, showing the calculated and cold-blooded nature of the crimes. Bernardo, along with his wife Karla Homolka, kidnapped, tortured, and murdered these young girls in 1990 and 1991. Their partnership in crime was both chilling and perplexing, raising questions about the dynamics of their relationship. Leslie Mahaffey was just 14 years old when she was abducted. Her youth and innocence made the crime even more heart-wrenching for the community. Bernardo and Homolka held her captive for over 24 hours, subjecting her to unimaginable horrors. The details of her captivity were so disturbing that they left a lasting impact on everyone who heard them. Her dismembered body was found encased in cement, a gruesome discovery that highlighted the brutality of her murder. This shocking find underscored the lengths to which Bernardo and Homolka went to conceal their crimes. Kristen French was 15 when she was taken. Her abduction was equally horrifying, and the community rallied in a desperate search to find her. She endured days of physical and sexual abuse before being murdered. The prolonged suffering she experienced was a testament to the cruelty of her captors. These cases were a turning point, revealing the full scope of Bernardo's capacity for evil. The intense media coverage and public outcry led to significant changes in how such crimes were investigated and prosecuted, ensuring that the memories of Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French would never be forgotten. Section 6. Arrest in 1993. The arrest of Paul Bernardo in 1993 was the result of years of relentless investigation. DNA evidence played a crucial role. Advances in forensic technology allowed authorities to match DNA from the crime scenes to Bernardo. This breakthrough provided the concrete evidence needed to arrest him. Bernardo's arrest was dramatic. It marked the end of a reign of terror that had gripped Scarborough and beyond. The community, though relieved, was also in shock. The charming, seemingly normal man next door was unmasked as a violent predator. The arrest also shed light on Karla Homolka's involvement. Bernardo's arrest was the beginning of a long legal process. Section 7. The Trial. A nation in shock. The trial of Paul Bernardo was one of the most sensational in Canadian history, capturing the attention of the entire nation. The public and the media followed every detail closely, with journalists and camera crews documenting every moment. The courtroom was a battleground where the horrific nature of Bernardo's crimes was laid bare for all to see. Each day brought new revelations, each more shocking than the last, leaving the nation in a state of disbelief. The prosecution presented a wealth of evidence, meticulously gathered to build an airtight case. This included DNA, victim testimonies, and video recordings made by Bernardo himself, which were crucial in proving his guilt. These videos showed the abuse and torture of Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French, leaving no doubt about his guilt and the extent of his cruelty. Karla Homolka testified against Bernardo, striking a controversial plea deal in exchange for a reduced sentence, which sparked public outrage. Her testimony was chilling, detailing the couple's crimes in graphic detail, painting a horrifying picture of their actions. The trial was not just about justice for the victims, it was about understanding the depths of human depravity and ensuring such horrors would never be repeated. Section 8. Sentencing in 1995. In 1995, Paul Bernardo was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for at least 25 years. The sentence was a reflection of the horrific nature of his crimes. The judge's words were clear. Bernardo was a dangerous offender, and society needed protection from him. The courtroom erupted in a mix of relief and sorrow. Relief that justice had been served, sorrow for the lives lost and the families shattered. Bernardo showed no remorse during the sentencing, maintaining his cold, detached demeanor. Karla Homolka, on the other hand, received a much lighter sentence. Her plea deal resulted in a 12-year prison term. Bernardo's sentencing marked the end of a dark chapter, but the scars remained. Section 9. The impact of his crimes. The impact of Paul Bernardo's crimes extended far beyond his immediate victims. The community of Scarborough was left traumatized. For years, residents lived in fear, altering their daily routines to avoid falling prey to the Scarborough Rapist. The sense of safety and trust was shattered. The psychological toll on the victims was immense. Many suffered from long-term trauma, struggling to rebuild their lives. The fear and humiliation they experienced left deep scars. Support groups and counseling services became essential in helping them cope with the aftermath of the attacks. The case also had a significant impact on law enforcement and forensic science. Section 10. A legacy of fear and vigilance. Paul Bernardo's legacy is one of fear, but also of vigilance. His actions have left an indelible mark on the psyche of the community, instilling a sense of caution and awareness that persists to this day. His crimes serve as a grim reminder of the potential for evil that can exist behind a facade of normalcy. The seemingly peaceful suburban neighborhoods were shattered by his heinous acts, revealing the dark underbelly that can lurk beneath the surface. The community of Scarborough, and indeed the entire nation, learned the importance of vigilance and awareness in the face of such threats. This tragic chapter in history has galvanized communities to take proactive measures in safeguarding their loved ones. The case has been studied extensively, serving as a cautionary tale for both law enforcement and society. It has prompted a deeper understanding of criminal behavior and the necessity for robust investigative techniques. It underscored the need for better protection for vulnerable individuals and more effective methods for identifying and apprehending predators. The community has since invested in various programs aimed at enhancing personal safety and security. The lessons learned have been crucial in shaping policies and practices to prevent similar crimes. These policies are now integral to the framework of community safety, ensuring that such atrocities are less likely to occur in the future. Bernardo's name will forever be associated with some of the most heinous crimes in Canadian history. His actions have been etched into the collective memory, serving as a stark warning of the depths of human depravity. His actions left an indelible mark on the community and the nation. The scars may never fully heal, but they have fostered a spirit of resilience and unity among the people. The legacy of fear he left behind is tempered by a renewed commitment to vigilance and protection. Communities have come together, stronger and more determined, to prevent such horrors from ever happening.